A rich, entitled woman walks into Judge Judy's courtroom dripping in diamonds and arrogance, convinced her father's power can silence anyone. But the moment she says, "My dad owns you," her world begins to crumble. What starts as a simple wage dispute spirals into a shocking breakdown of lies, fake evidence, family secrets, and a father's letter that exposes everything she tried to hide. Watch how her confidence collapses, the truth explodes, and the courtroom turns against her until the ending that no one saw coming. Script. A rich woman strutted into Judge Judy's courtroom like it was her private stage, diamonds flashing, ego louder than the cameras. Before the hearing even began, she leaned back, smirked, and dropped the line that made the entire gallery freeze. "My dad owns you." She thought that sentence would shut down the case, but it became the spark that blew her entire facade apart. Within minutes, her lies crumbled, her mother shattered, and Judge Judy exposed everything. And when the truth finally hit, what happened next is something you won't believe until you see it. But before we dive in, tell me, where are you watching from? Don't forget the subscribe button. The camera would have lingered on her face if this were a film, the soft curl of her lip, the glimmer of practiced entitlement in her eyes. Even the faint sparkle of diamonds at her wrist seemed loud in the quiet room. She tapped them against the table like a private applause meant only for herself. Judge Judy had not said a word yet. She did not need to. Her silence had weight, and it pulled every gaze toward the bench. The plaintiff, a housekeeper with gentle shoulders and tired eyes, stepped forward. Her hands trembled around a stack of papers. Not with fear, but with the exhaustion of carrying a story too long. She opened her mouth to speak. The girl cut her off with a laugh, not a nervous laugh, not the laugh of someone overwhelmed, a laugh of someone who believed she could not lose. A laugh sharp enough to slice the room in half. Judge Judy's head tilted only an inch. Her expression stayed neutral, but the stillness around her shifted, like the room sensed a storm deciding where to land. "I am sorry," the plaintiff whispered, trying to continue. The girl spoke over her again, each word punctuated with a small flick of her hand. "She is being dramatic. This entire thing is ridiculous. My dad owns half the people you work with," she said, turning slightly so the cameras caught her good side. A soft murmur rippled through the gallery. Judy finally leaned forward, elbows touching the desk, her voice low and precise. "Young lady, I do the talking here. You do the listening." The girl shrugged as if she were indulging a child. "Sure." But her eyes said otherwise. They gleamed with the thrill of someone who thought rules were suggestions made for other people. The plaintiff tried again, voice steadier this time. She described late payments, disrespect, shifting excuses. She did not raise her voice. She did not dramatize. Her truth carried its own quiet power. The girl rolled her eyes. If she wanted money so badly, she should have worked harder. Judy's gaze sharpened. The kind of gaze that makes grown adults rethink entire life choices. "Do you have the receipts for the payments you claim you made?" The girl smiled, that same slow, arrogant smile, and folded her arms. "Of course I do." Judy held out her hand. "Then bring them to me." The girl did not move, not an inch. Her smile flickered for the briefest second, and that was all Judy needed to notice. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Where are they?" she asked, and the girl's silence hung in the air like the first crack in a flawless mirror. The girl finally moved, not to comply, but to dismiss. She flicked her wrist in the air, as if brushing away an irritating mosquito rather than a judge. The gesture alone shifted the courtroom's temperature. She exhaled loudly, an exaggerated sigh that echoed through the wood panels. The kind of sigh meant to remind everyone here that she believed this entire process was beneath her. Her diamond bracelet slid down her wrist, catching the harsh courtroom light like a camera flash before a scandal. "Do we really have to waste time on this?" she muttered, leaning back in her chair, voice dipped in syrupy annoyance. Judge Judy did not blink. The silence she gave in return was sharper than any reprimand. The courtroom waited, caught between the girl's entitlement and the judge's restraint. The plaintiff stepped forward, clutching her papers tightly. Her hands trembled again, but this time from the weight of being talked over, erased by someone who had always been allowed to erase others. "Your Honor," she said softly, "I just want what I earned. Nothing more." The girl smirked. She already got more than she deserved. A soft gasp stirred in the gallery. Even the bailiff's posture tightened, his arms crossing instinctively, a silent barrier between order and arrogance. Judge Judy's gaze drifted to the plaintiff, inviting her to continue. The woman took a breath and described the late payments, the withheld wages, the constant promises that never materialized. The courtroom listened. The girl did not. Instead, she stared at her nails, turning her hands to admire the shine. When the plaintiff mentioned being yelled at for asking for her paycheck, the girl laughed quietly under her breath. A laugh meant to hurt. Judy's voice cut through the air. "Young lady, if you interrupt again, I will remove you from this courtroom." That finally made the girl look up. "I'm just telling the truth," she snapped, though her tone lacked its earlier confidence. "People like her always exaggerate." The plaintiff flinched, not at the insult, but at how casually it was delivered, as if cruelty were a first language. A murmured whisper slid through the gallery. People traded glances. Even arrogance has limits, and the room could feel hers slipping. The side door opened quietly, and the bailiff escorted in a woman, the girl's mother. She moved carefully, as if stepping into a storm she already knew was coming. Her eyes darted to her daughter, then to Judge Judy, then to the plaintiff. A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face before she masked it. Judge Judy nodded. "Ma'am, step forward." The mother obeyed, her hands folded in front of her, shoulders tight with tension. "I need you to answer a single question," Judy said, her tone calm and deliberate. "Did your daughter make the payments she claims she made?" The mother's breath caught, barely visible but unmistakable. Her eyes did not shift to her daughter, they shifted to the floor. "Ma'am," Judy repeated softly, "did she pay her?" The mother hesitated, and in that hesitation the truth quivered, ready to break open. The mother's silence hit the room harder than any accusation. She did not look at her daughter. She did not look at the judge. She stared down at her own hands, as if the truth was hiding in the lines of her palms. A hush slid across the courtroom, soft but suffocating. Even the lights seemed to dim, casting the mother in a pale wash that made her look smaller, older, tired in a way only years of quiet battles can shape. Her fingers twisted together, trembling not with fear, but with recognition, the kind that comes when lies are about to meet daylight. The girl leaned forward, voice dripping with impatience. "Mom, just tell her." But the words were not a request. They were a command she had given many times before, a command the mother had obeyed many times before. Judge Judy watched the exchange with a stillness that felt heavier than any gavel strike. "Ma'am," she repeated, tone flat, inviting honesty but prepared for resistance. "Did your daughter make the payments? Yes or no?" The mother swallowed. Her voice, when it came, barely reached above a whisper. I do not want to answer that." The gallery stirred, an uneasy ripple of exchanged glances. The girl's jaw tightened. "Because she knows I did," she snapped. "This is ridiculous. Can we move on?" Judy ignored her completely. The judge's eyes remained locked on the mother, steady, patient, merciless in their quiet demand. "You came here today," Judy said softly, "because someone asked you to tell the truth. I am giving you the opportunity." The mother's breath shook. "Your Honor, But the girl leaned in, her voice a sharp hiss that cut through the tension. "Mom, if you embarrass me on national television, I swear—" She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. The threat hung in the air, thick and recognizable, the same way a storm announces itself without thunder. The plaintiff stepped forward slightly, not to speak, but out of instinct, a small motion that revealed how many times she had witnessed that same tension in that same house. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with memory. Judge Judy tapped her pen once against the desk. A single, crisp sound that snapped the room still. "Young lady," she said to the girl, "if you threaten your mother again, I will have you removed from this courtroom. Permanently." The girl's mouth fell open. She had not expected consequences. She never did. Judy returned her attention to the mother. "You may answer now." Silence stretched, long, heavy. Then the plaintiff stepped forward, holding up a phone. "Your Honor, I have something to show you." The bailiff took the phone and delivered it to the bench. One screen lit up, a text message, short, sharp, ugly, a message the girl had sent. Judy's eyes narrowed as she read it. "Ma'am," Judy said, lifting the phone, "did you know about this message?" The mother's face collapsed into a quiet, devastating truth, and the room stopped breathing. The bailiff laid the phone on Judge Judy's desk as gently as if it were evidence from a crime scene. Its screen glowed in the dim courtroom light, a single message blazing like a confession no one meant to expose. The girl's smirk faded the moment the light touched her face. Judge Judy lifted the phone with slow precision, the way a surgeon handles a delicate instrument. The gallery leaned forward in one silent wave, as if the truth itself had weight that pulled every eye toward it. The girl shifted in her seat. For the first time all morning, her posture lost its perfect, practiced ease. Her hands tightened around the edge of the table, pressing hard enough to leave small crescents in her skin. Judy's voice came quiet, controlled. "You sent this message?" The girl blinked. Which one? A weak deflection. Not the bold, polished confidence she had worn earlier. Her mother turned her face slightly away, shame settling into the lines around her eyes. Judy scrolled. Another message appeared, then another. Each one worse than the last, threats disguised as jokes, mockery written without restraint, and at the bottom, the line that drained the color from the mother's face. "People like her should be grateful we even let them work for us." A sharp inhale broke from the plaintiff, not pain, recognition. She had lived under those words long before they appeared on the screen. The girl swallowed. "Those were private conversations. They do not mean anything." Judy set the phone down. The soft click echoed deeper than her words. "Everything you say means something in my courtroom." The girl's foot tapped rapidly beneath the table, a frantic pulse betraying the calm she tried to maintain. She brushed her hair behind her ear, forcing a laugh that rang thin and hollow. "Everyone exaggerates over text." Judy raised an eyebrow. "You threatened not to pay her? You bragged about using your father's name to intimidate people, and you said you never pay workers because they cannot fight you." She paused. "Is that also an exaggeration?" The girl's lips parted, but no sound came. Her mother stepped forward, voice trembling. "Your Honor." Judy held up a hand. "Ma'am, I will hear from you in a moment." Her gaze cut back to the girl. "I want to know who taught you this behavior." The girl's eyes darted toward her mother, then toward the gallery, searching desperately for a lifeline that was not there. Judy tapped the screen. "Your father's name appears here many times." Another scroll, another message. "He fixes everything I mess up." The room went still. Judy looked up, eyes colder now. "Does he fix this kind of mess?" The girl stiffened. "My father knows." Judy cut her off, voice stern but steady. "No, I'm asking if your father knows what you write in his name." The girl's breath hitched. In that sudden silence, her mask cracked, the first true fracture. Judy leaned forward. "Because I suspect he does not." The girl's face drained of color, and the truth hovered inches from collapse. The girl reacted first, not with fear, but with volume. She jolted forward, voice rising like a spark hitting gasoline. "My father authorizes everything I do." The shout sliced through the courtroom, too loud, too fast, too desperate. Even she seemed startled by the force of her own voice. Her chest heaved once, a small tremor betraying the confidence she was trying so hard to glue back together. Judge Judy did not flinch. She stayed perfectly still, watching the girl with a calm so controlled it became its own form of pressure, the kind that makes arrogance shrink without a single raised tone. The gallery shifted in a wave of murmurs. People exchanged looks, not of judgment, but dawning realization. Something about the girl's outburst sounded rehearsed, like a script she had used many times before and never questioned. Judy spoke gently, which somehow made her words colder. "Young lady, I have reason to believe that is not true." The girl's lips tightened. "You do not know my father." Judy tilted her head. "That is precisely why your mother is here." A soft gasp rolled through the seats. The mother stood frozen beside the plaintiff's table, eyes wide, posture stiff as if bracing for impact. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, unable to form words that would not wound her daughter or herself. Judy continued, each word precise. "Your father has, on more than one occasion, been forced to clean up the aftermath of your behavior. Not because he condones it, because he fears the damage it causes. The girl's eyes snapped up, fury replacing fear. You do not know anything about our family. Judy nodded once. No, but I know what was sent to my chambers this morning. The girl blinked. Her posture faltered. What are you talking about? The bailiff stepped forward, placing a sealed envelope on Judy's desk with deliberate care. The girl's gaze locked onto it as if it were a bomb wrapped in stationery. Her breathing turned uneven. Judy tapped the envelope lightly. Your father's statement. A ripple of shock traveled through the room. Even the cameras seemed to steady their focus, sensing the gravity shifting. The girl's bravado cracked again. He would never send anything without telling me. The mother flinched, a small, involuntary gesture that said everything the daughter refused to hear. Judy opened the envelope slowly, letting the tension curl around every movement. She slid out a single sheet of paper, the crisp sound of unfolding echoing like the prelude to judgment. She read the first line silently, then the second. Then she looked at the girl, really looked, with a gaze that held both truth and disappointment. Your father, she said softly, states that he wants no part in defending your actions today. The girl's face collapsed inward, a shattering happening behind her eyes. No, she whispered, shaking her head as if she could undo the words. Judy placed the letter down. He also says he warned you never to use his name to intimidate people again. The room held its breath. Judy lifted the paper, preparing to read the next line aloud. The girl reached out, as if to physically stop the truth from leaving the judge's mouth. But Judy had already begun. Judge Judy unfolded the letter with a slow, deliberate motion. The paper crackled softly, a fragile sound that somehow felt louder than the girl's earlier shouting. Across the courtroom, the girl's breath caught like someone bracing for impact. The letter trembled only slightly in Judy's hand. But the words written across it carried the weight of a man who finally chose truth over protection. Judy's eyes scanned the page, her expression unreadable, her silence stretching into something almost ceremonial. The gallery leaned forward in a collective inhale. The girl pressed back into her chair, shoulders curled inward, every trace of arrogance evaporating into a quiet, fragile fear. She stared at the letter as if it were a stranger walking toward her with her name on their lips. Judy began reading aloud. I do not authorize my daughter's actions, nor have I ever encouraged her to use my name in matters of payment, employment, or intimidation. The girl shook her head fiercely. He did not write that. Someone made him write that. He would never. Judy raised a hand and the girl's protest died mid-breath. Her behavior has escalated beyond what I can quietly correct, Judy continued, her voice steady, almost gentle. I have instructed her repeatedly to take responsibility for her actions. She has ignored me every time. The mother closed her eyes, shoulders sinking under the weight of long-hidden truth. The plaintiff watched quietly, hands clasped together, not in victory, but in something closer to relief. Judy read on. I will not appear to defend her today. I hope she learns accountability faster than I taught it. A hush fell so deep the air itself felt stunned. The girl's mouth opened, but no words formed. Her hands hovered in front of her as if she did not know whether to reach for the letter or push it away. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with the sting of a reality she never expected to face in public. Judy folded the letter neatly. Your father has spoken very clearly. The girl finally found her voice, but it cracked like glass. He is just angry. He always says things like that when he is upset. He does not mean it. The mother whispered. He meant it this time. Her voice wavered, but her truth did not. The girl turned sharply toward her mother, betrayal flashing across her expression like lightning across a darkened sky. You are supposed to defend me. I have defended you your whole life, the mother whispered. Look where it brought us. The girl looked away, jaw trembling, eyes fixed on the table as if the wood grain could anchor her spinning world. Judge Judy tapped the letter once, a soft punctuation. This changes the direction of today's hearing. Dramatically. The girl flinched at the word dramatically, as if it echoed too close to consequences. Judy leaned closer. Before we proceed, there is one point your father emphasized that I want clarified. The girl looked up, eyes wet, voice small. What point? Judy folded her hands. He said you have a history of hiding or destroying evidence when you fear being held accountable. The girl froze, utterly still. A thin tremor shot through her hands. She whispered, That is not true. But the look in her mother's eyes said otherwise. The girl did not move at first. Her denial hung in the air, thin and trembling, like a thread stretched too close to snapping. Judge Judy watched her with the calm of someone who had trapped storms before. The courtroom waited, breathless and rigid. Even the walls felt still, absorbing the tension like they had learned to hold the truth themselves. The girl swallowed hard, brushing her palm across her cheek as if she could wipe her fear away with one stubborn gesture. Judge Judy leaned back. Tell me, young lady, why would your father write that if it were not true? The girl exhaled sharply. Because he thinks everything I do embarrasses him. Her voice trembled, but still fought for edge. He wants to look good for his partners. He does not like when I make mistakes. Judy tilted her head, studying her. Is that what you believe these are? Mistakes? The girl said nothing. Silence wrapped around her shoulders like a tightening rope. The plaintiff stepped forward slightly, though she did not speak. She did not need to. Her presence alone had become a quiet reminder of the consequences the girl never expected to face. Judy focused on the defendant again. Your father listed specific instances where you hid documents, altered them, or conveniently lost them when they did not support your story. Do you deny that happened? The girl's fingers fidgeted near her bracelet, a small, frantic movement revealing the unraveling inside her. People misplace things, she muttered. That does not make me a criminal. Judy narrowed her gaze. No, but falsifying information is quite different from misplacing it. A murmur rolled through the gallery. The girl sat up straight, defiance swelling again like an old reflex. I have proof she stole from me, she blurted. Real proof, not whatever text you are twisting. Judge Judy did not blink. Proof? Yes, the girl said with sudden confidence, latching onto the word like it was her last weapon. I brought it, a whole folder. She jabbed a finger toward the plaintiff, took things, and I have the evidence to show it. The sentence landed poorly, too eager, too forced. The gallery sensed it. Even her mother's eyes widened with an uncomfortable, preemptive dread. Judy's voice stayed calm. If you have evidence, present it. The girl grabbed her oversized designer bag and yanked out a thick folder. Papers spilled onto the table, fluttering like frightened birds. She scrambled to gather them, her hands shaking more than she could control. She slapped the stack onto the judge's desk. Here, all of it, you will see she lied. Judy opened the folder carefully, almost gently. The first page made her pause. The second made her eyebrows lift. The third made her lean back, eyes sharpening with an unmistakable understanding. The girl watched her desperately. See? See? Judy did not speak. Not yet. Silence often spoke louder. The plaintiff stared at the file, confused. She had never seen these papers before. The girl pushed her voice louder, trying to fill the room before truth could. She took things. She stole from me. That is why she wants money. To cover what she did. Judy finally looked up. Her expression had changed. Calmer, colder, almost disappointed. These documents, Judy said softly, are not what you claim. The girl froze mid-breath, and the trap, quietly and beautifully constructed, snapped shut. Judge Judy turned the first page again, slower this time, as if giving the document one last chance to make sense. It did not. The girl's confidence flickered like a light bulb about to burn out. The courtroom leaned forward, tension stretching thin. Papers rustled softly under Judy's deliberate fingertips. The girl sat rigid in her chair, her breath shallow, her eyes darting between the judge and the folder, as if waiting for a verdict written in a language only she could read. Judy held up the first sheet. You submitted this as evidence of theft? Yes, the girl snapped quickly, too quickly. Check the date, check the signature, everything is there? Judy examined it again. The signature at the bottom wavered, the strokes too thick, too deliberate, a copy of a copy pretending to be original. She moved to the next page. A photograph, supposedly of a missing bracelet, printed at low resolution, pixelated edges, a faint watermark still visible in the corner. Judy's eyebrow lifted by a fraction, just enough for the front row to sense the unraveling. The girl leaned forward, desperate. It proves she took it. That is my bracelet. Judy tapped the corner of the image. Did you notice this watermark? The girl blinked. What watermark? From a luxury resale website, one that photographs jewelry before posting it online. The gallery broke into murmurs. The girl recoiled. That does not mean anything. People share photos all the time. It is just a stock image, Judy finished. Her voice carried the calm finality of a closing door. Silence fell again, louder this time. Judy picked up the next sheet, another alleged proof, a screenshot of bank notifications. The numbers were misaligned. The font did not match. The date had been altered clumsily, the way someone edits a photo without knowing how digital shadows work. Who created these documents? Judy asked. The girl swallowed. One of our assistants. What is their name? A beat, another. The girl's silence stretched like a rope pulled too tight. Her mother closed her eyes, dread settling into her posture. Judy tapped the mismatched date with her pen. You altered this. The girl's voice cracked. No, I did not. Someone helped me put it together, but it is real. No, it is not. Judy's tone sliced clean through every layer of the girl's denial. These documents are fabricated, badly. A collective gasp rose from the gallery. The girl's hands flew to her mouth. You cannot say that. You cannot accuse me like... I am not accusing, Judy said calmly. I am observing. The plaintiff stared, stunned. Not triumphant, just heartbroken that the truth had been twisted so far. The girl's breathing grew erratic, the panic breaking through the cracks she could no longer patch. Her bracelet clinked against the desk as her hands trembled uncontrollably. Judy closed the folder and set it aside, as if the evidence itself carried a sourness she did not wish to touch again. Submitting false evidence is not just unethical. It is unlawful. The girl froze. Her eyes widened, her lips parted. The courtroom held its breath. Given what I see here, Judy said quietly, this may no longer remain a simple civil dispute. And in that moment the girl understood. The consequences she mocked were now standing right in front of her. The girl tried to speak, but only a thin, trembling sound escaped her throat, the kind of sound a person makes when they realize the floor beneath them was never solid. Her world did not crash. It sank. Judge Judy placed the fake folder beside her laptop, its edges slightly bent from the girl's frantic grasp. The courtroom sat in a hush so dense it felt physical. Even the bailiff's posture stilled, as if instinctively bracing for the aftershock of the truth that had just been exposed. The girl swallowed hard. Her eyes darted wildly across the room, to her mother, to the plaintiff, to the cameras, searching for anyone willing to rescue her from herself. No one moved. No one spoke. The silence reflected her, and for the first time, she seemed terrified of her own reflection. I did nothing wrong, she whispered. Judy did not raise her voice. She did not need to. Young lady, you submitted falsified documents with the intention of misleading this court. The girl shook her head rapidly. No, that is not what happened. I needed to prove she lied. I needed to show. The plaintiff stepped forward slightly, not with anger, but with a quiet heaviness. I never lied, she said softly. I only asked to be paid for my work. The girl flinched as if the words struck her physically. Her mother covered her mouth with trembling fingers. The guilt etched into her face was sharp enough to cut the room in half. She whispered something, a prayer, a regret, a plea, but the microphone did not catch it. Judy's gaze moved to the mother. Did you know she created these documents? The mother's voice cracked. I begged her not to bring them. The girl whipped her head toward her. You were supposed to help me? I did, the mother breathed, for years. Those 3 words peeled away the last layer of pretense. The girl's expression shifted, confusion mixing with grief, panic turning to something much older, much lonelier. Judge Judy interlaced her fingers calmly. You understand, she said to the girl, that what you have done goes beyond entitlement. The girl shook her head, barely able to meet the judge's eyes. I could not lose. I cannot lose. Her voice broke on the second "cannot," as if she was fighting herself more than the courtroom. Judy spoke quieter now, but her words carried heavier weight. "Losing is not the danger here, lying is," the gallery murmured, soft, sympathetic, unnerved by the unraveling happening right in front of them. The girl's breathing quickened, her chest rising in sharp, uneven bursts. "You do not understand," she choked out. "If I mess up, he... She stopped mid-sentence, eyes widening at the truth she almost revealed. Her hands covered her face. "This is not fair," she whispered. "You are ruining everything." Judy leaned forward. "No. Your choices did that." Tears threatened at the edge of the girl's eyes, not from accountability, but from a lifetime of holding up a facade too heavy to keep standing. Her hands dropped to the table. "I can explain," she said quietly, a tremble buried inside each word. Judy replied, "Then begin. Should remorse soften accountability, or does justice demand consequences even when regret arrives too late?" Her first word did not come out as speech. It came out as a tremble, a faint, fragile vibration that revealed more truth than anything she had said all day. The courtroom stillness stretched around her as she stared down at her hands. Her fingers curled inward, trembling slightly, leaving small crescents in her palms. She seemed afraid to look at anyone, especially Judge Judy, especially her mother, especially herself. I tried," she whispered. Judy's voice remained calm, anchored. "Explain." The girl inhaled shakily, the sound uneven. "I tried to do everything right. I tried to be strong. I tried to not let people take advantage of me. I tried to be what he wants me to be." "He," Judy echoed softly. "Your father." The girl flinched, as if the name itself carried weight. "He hates weakness, he hates mistakes, and he hates when I ask for help. So I do not ask, I fix things. I fix them before he has to find out." Her mother closed her eyes, devastated. The plaintiff listened quietly, a solemn witness to someone unraveling under the pressure of their own facade. Judy leaned forward slightly. "Fixing something is not the same as hiding the truth." The girl's laugh cracked in the middle, a brittle, broken sound. "Truth never helped me. Image did. People listen when you pretend to be powerful." "And who taught you that?" Judy asked. The question lingered in the air, soft but devastating. The girl wiped at her cheek, surprised to find moisture there. She pressed her lips together, trying to keep composure she no longer possessed. "Everyone, my father, his friends, people at school. If you do not act like you matter, they treat you like you do not." Her voice softened, losing its edge. "So I acted." Judy nodded slowly. "By lying." The girl swallowed hard. "By surviving." The words echoed, raw and unguarded. Something deeper than entitlement had surfaced. A bruise formed long before the courtroom lights ever found her. The plaintiff held her breath. Even she could feel the layers shifting. This was no longer about unpaid wages alone. This was about a life shaped around fear, disguised as arrogance. The girl's eyes drifted toward her mother. "You never defended me when he yelled. You just told me to stay strong, to not cry, to not break." Her mother stepped closer, voice trembling. "I was trying to protect you. By teaching me to hide everything," the girl whispered. The mother had no answer, only silence, a silence filled with years of quiet, complicated damage. Judy let the quiet settle before speaking again. "You are unraveling because the truth is finally louder than the performance." The girl gripped the table, knuckles whitening. "I did not mean to hurt her," she said, nodding toward the plaintiff. "I just did not want him to be disappointed in me again." The plaintiff's expression softened, not with forgiveness, but with human understanding. Judy watched the girl carefully. "There is something you are not telling me, something important." The girl's breathing hitched. She lifted her eyes slowly. "There is more," she whispered. Judy's voice lowered. "Then tell the truth. All of it." Her mouth opened, but the truth did not come out easily. It crawled, trembling, as if it had been buried so long it forgot how to breathe. Even the air in the courtroom seemed to hesitate. The girl's eyes were glossy, distant, searching for a place to hide inside herself and finding none. Her voice, when it emerged, sounded like it was pulled from a wound rather than a throat. "I did not accuse her because she stole anything," she said. "I accused her because I panicked." Judge Judy watched her, unmoving. Panicked about what? The girl pressed a shaking hand against her forehead. About the money, about the hours she said I owed her, about how it would look if my dad found out. He always says problems only exist when you fail to control them. A soft murmur passed through the gallery, empathy mixed with unease. The plaintiff stood perfectly still, her hands clasped, waiting. The girl continued, her voice cracking at the edges. When she asked for her wages, I froze. I knew I spent the money. I knew I promised her things I never followed through on. And when she said she would take legal action, I thought, she swallowed hard. I thought if I made her look dishonest, it would make me look stronger. And then he would not be mad. Her mother gasped, the sound sharp and pained. Honey? But the girl kept talking, as if a dam had split open. He always told me, power keeps you safe. People respect what they fear. Never let anyone make you look weak. So She looked at the table, shame flooding her expression. I created the documents so he would not see me as a failure. Judy's tone softened, not forgiving, but seeing. So the theft was fabricated entirely. Yes, her voice barely rose above a whisper. All of it. I just wanted to protect myself. The plaintiff's face tightened, not with anger, but with the exhaustion of finally hearing the truth. The girl continued, breath hitching. Every time I messed up, he yelled, not to teach me, to shame me, to make an example out of me. He would say, you embarrass me, fix it. So I tried. I lied. I covered things up. And then it became automatic. Judy leaned forward. You blamed an innocent woman to avoid facing your father. The girl nodded, tears escaping despite her effort to hold them in. I thought if I convinced everyone she was stealing, he would think I was protecting our family. It was stupid. It was harmful, Judy corrected. The courtroom absorbed the words like a judgment and a truth at once. The mother whispered, voice shaking, I should have stopped this years ago. But the girl shook her head frantically. You could not. He made us both so scared to disappoint him. Judy's eyes softened, but her voice stayed rooted in authority. Fear does not justify the harm you caused. The girl's breathing became uneven again, but her eyes no longer darted. They focused on Judy, finally facing what she had spent years avoiding. There is something else, she said. Judy paused. Something more than everything you have admitted? The girl nodded painfully. Yes. Something he told me. Something that made all of this feel necessary. She lifted her gaze, trembling. My father said if I ever looked weak in public again, he would cut me off completely. Silence settled over the courtroom like dust after a building collapses. Nothing dramatic, just the quiet, heavy aftermath of truth finally spoken. The girl sat there, small for the first time. Her shoulders slumped, not in defeat but in release, like someone who had carried a secret so heavy it warped her posture. Across from her, the plaintiff breathed out slowly, her expression changing from guarded alertness to something gentler, though far from forgiving. Judge Judy watched the transformation with deep, steady eyes. She had seen people break before, she had seen arrogance shatter, but this was different, a quiet collapse that revealed not a villain, but a wounded, misdirected young woman who had mistaken cruelty for strength. Judy spoke softly. You understand the gravity of what you have done. The girl nodded, but there was no fight left in her. I know. Her voice cracked, not from fear of consequences, but from the exhaustion of finally letting honesty breathe. Her mother stepped closer, the movement hesitant, unsure if she had the right to offer comfort or if she was part of the wound. I should have protected you, she whispered, not shaped you into him. The girl shook her head weakly. You did what you thought kept us safe. Judy lifted a hand. Both of you have been living under someone else's shadow. She turned her attention to the girl. But what you did to this woman, she gestured toward the plaintiff, was your choice, and choices carry consequences. The plaintiff spoke for the first time since the confession. I do not want revenge, she said quietly. I want to feel like my work mattered, like I was not nothing to her. The girl looked up, tears clinging to her lashes. You were not nothing. I was just scared. The plaintiff nodded slowly. Fear does not erase harm. Judy let the words hang, letting them settle where they needed to settle. A soft, almost sympathetic murmur passed through the gallery, the kind that rises when strangers witness something too intimate to ignore. The girl wiped her cheeks, no longer caring about the cameras, the image, the performance. Yeah. For the first time, she looked her age. Judy leaned forward. I need to know what justice looks like to each of you, because we are heading into the portion of this hearing where decisions carry weight. The plaintiff stepped closer. I want my wages, I want the lies corrected, and I want her to face whatever consequences come from what she did. The girl nodded, not resisting. I will do it, she whispered. I will fix what I can. The mother placed a hand on her daughter's back, a tentative gesture, but a real one. Judy gathered the papers before her. Her movements were slow, deliberate, heavy with the importance of what came next. We will now begin reviewing restitution and penalties. A shift rippled through the room, a turning of the page, figuratively and literally. The girl straightened slightly, bracing herself. Judy lifted the final document. The breakdown, she said, is substantial, and the girl's breath hitched, ready, finally, to hear it. The courtroom leaned in as Judge Judy lowered her glasses. Not a dramatic gesture, a measured one, the kind she used when truth was about to take shape. The girl's grip tightened on the table, bracing for the part of the storm that does not split you open, but builds you back. The restitution breakdown, Judy began, her voice steady and resonant, includes unpaid wages, late penalties, and damages for false accusations. The girl swallowed hard. The numbers on the page blurred in her vision, not because they were impossibly high, but because each figure felt like a brick she had stacked in her own way. Lies, deflection, avoidance, entitlement, all tall enough to collapse on her. Judy continued, This is not punitive, it is corrective. It is what the law demands when someone has used dishonesty as a shield. The plaintiff stood quietly, hands clasped, her posture still protective but no longer defensive. She had won something more meaningful than money, the truth spoken aloud, finally visible to everyone. Judy's voice lowered. You accused her of theft. The girl nodded slowly. I know. You fabricated evidence to support that accusation. Another nod, smaller. Yes. And you understand the severity of that? The girl's voice cracked. I do now. Judy paused, not for emphasis, but to let the words settle the way heavy truths settle into a room, filling every corner. Her gaze shifted to the mother. You have stood by her, even when you sensed she was wrong. I want you to hear this too. Accountability cannot grow in soil watered by excuses. The mother looked like the words struck deep, but she nodded. Tears gathered, but did not fall. Judy leaned back slightly. This young woman has been allowed to believe she could bend consequences with money, image, or threats. That ends today. The gallery murmured, not in judgment, but in recognition. They saw the shift happening. The arrogance that had marched into the courtroom was gone, replaced by a fragile honesty just learning to breathe. The girl wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I want to fix it. I know I cannot undo everything, but I want to start. The sincerity in her voice surprised even her mother. Judy studied her for a moment, long enough to measure whether the words came from truth or desperation. Then she nodded once. Good. Because what comes next requires that sincerity. The plaintiff exhaled, her shoulders softening. A long journey, bruised and tangled, finally had direction. Judy reached for the last sheet in the stack. These damages reflect more than unpaid wages. They reflect the emotional and reputational harm caused by your lies. The girl stiffened, absorbing each word like a cold ripple down her spine. And, Judy added, they reflect the risk you created by submitting fraudulent evidence. The air thickened. Even the cameras seemed to hold their breath. Judy placed the sheet down gently. Before I finalize this, I need to make one more determination, and it concerns the seriousness of your fabricated documents. The girl's head lifted, eyes wide. Depending on what I decide next, Judy said softly, this may extend beyond my courtroom. The girl froze, and the room tightened around her fate. Judge Judy placed her hands flat on the bench. The gesture was small, but it felt like the moment before a verdict drops on an entire life. The girl straightened, as if bracing for impact. She finally accepted she could not outrun. "Here is what I need you to understand," Judy began, her voice low but unyielding. "Submitting falsified documents is not just unethical, it jeopardizes the integrity of every person who steps into this courtroom." The girl swallowed, the sound audible in the thick silence. Her bracelet slid down her wrist with a dull clink, a sound far quieter than earlier, stripped of its arrogance and shine. Judy continued, "I have decisions to make. Some will be financial, some will be corrective, and some may need to be referred to authorities who handle deliberate falsification." The girl shut her eyes, a tremor running through her. The mother reached out, touching her daughter's arm lightly, a gesture that, weeks ago, would have been met with irritation. Today the girl did not pull away. The plaintiff stood quietly, her posture straight but not triumphant. She was not here to watch the girl crumble. She was here to receive fairness. Judy folded the last document. "Before I announce restitution, I need to address the harm done to the plaintiff." The girl's breath hitched, her shoulders tensed. Judy turned to the plaintiff. "You have been disrespected, underpaid, and accused without cause. You deserve not only the wages owed, but acknowledgement of the damage this caused." The plaintiff nodded, her voice soft but steady. "I just want honesty." Judy shifted her attention back to the girl. "Stand up." The girl stood, shaky but willing. Her eyes shimmered, not with staged emotion, but with something real and unvarnished. "You have hidden behind your father's name, behind privilege, behind fear," Judy said. "But today you stand alone, and that is what accountability looks like." The mother covered her mouth, tears finally breaking free. The girl turned toward her instinctively, but stopped, realizing that this moment was not about comfort. It was about truth. Judy continued, "You owe this woman a real apology, not a performance, not a statement crafted to save face. I want the truth from you." The girl looked at the plaintiff, truly looked, for the first time since the hearing began. Her voice came uneven and raw. "I'm sorry. I hurt you. I humiliated you. I made up lies because I was scared, not of you, but of disappointing my father." Her throat tightened. "You deserved better from me, and I was wrong." A soft, stunned hush fell across the gallery. Judge Judy nodded, the faintest hint of approval softening her expression. "That is a start." The girl exhaled, a breath that seemed years overdue. Her knees wavered slightly, not from fear now, but from letting go. Judy picked up the final sheet, the one that held the total restitution, the penalties, and the instructions for what came next. The girl watched her, breath caught in her chest. "This," Judy said, lifting the paper, "is the full consequence of your actions." The girl's eyes widened, and the room fell into absolute stillness. Before the verdict lands, ask yourself, can people truly change, or do they only learn to hide their flaws more carefully? Judge Judy did not rush. She held the final document like a compass, steady, pointed, unwavering. The girl stood motionless, tears drying on her cheeks as the room braced for the impact of truth delivered without anger. Judy took a breath. The kind that signaled the weight of the moment was not lost on her. She lifted her gaze, meeting the girl's eyes, not to condemn her, but to ensure she understood every word that followed. "This courtroom is not here to break you," Judy said. "It is here to correct what you chose to do wrong." The girl's shoulders trembled. Her mother stood at her side, silent and pale, holding a kind of grief that tasted like recognition, the awareness that patterns passed from parent to child do not dissolve on their own. Judy began. "You will pay the plaintiff every dollar in owed wages, plus penalties for the delays. You will also repay her for the time and reputation you damaged by falsely accusing her of theft." The plaintiff bowed her head slightly, relief washing over her features, not triumphant, simply released from the burden of injustice. Judy continued, voice firm but controlled. "As for the falsified documents, I am not treating that lightly. I will be referring these to the appropriate authorities. What they choose to do is outside my judgment, but the referral is mandatory." A murmur swept the gallery. The girl's breath caught, the consequences finally becoming real, tangible, unavoidable. But Judy's next words landed softer. This referral is not a punishment, it is a responsibility. Actions have ripples. Sometimes they reach farther than you expect. The girl nodded, tears returning but quieter this time, the kind that come not from panic, but from understanding. Judy folded the paper and set it aside. You have an opportunity here, not to erase what you did, but to grow from it. The girl swallowed. I want to try. I believe you, Judy said. It was not praise, it was permission, to change, to rebuild, to become something other than the reflection she had been raised to mirror. The plaintiff stepped forward. I accept the apology, she said softly, and I hope you can build something better for yourself. The girl nodded, overwhelmed by a kind of gratitude she had never felt before, the kind not earned by wealth or status but by honesty. Judy straightened. Bailiff. The bailiff approached, stepping beside the girl with a calm, practiced presence. She stiffened instinctively, the last echo of the fear that had shaped her. This hearing is concluded, Judy declared. Please escort her to the hallway for processing. The girl did not resist. She looked one last time at the plaintiff, then at her mother, then at Judy, a quiet acknowledgement of the journey she was about to begin. As the bailiff led her through the side door, the cameras capturing every step, the courtroom seemed to exhale, not with satisfaction, but with solemnity.